With each subsequent generation, I feel that they're getting lonelier and lonelier because of social media and the availability of these apps. Welcome back, everyone. LANCESCURV here, the Scurv podcast. This morning when I woke up, this is what was on my mind. And I can see the hunger in the eyes of people. I want to talk about this. I'm going to be very frank about it. But we're so disconnected. That's why I said the title of this particular presentation is Disconnected Together: How Plastic Intimacy is Starving Our Souls. Plastic intimacy. That's all we have now. I mean, some of us still have the human touch and understand the importance of it. But most of us are running on automatic because we're so busy. Moving through today's world often feels like starving inside of an all-you-can-eat restaurant, yet being told you can't touch the food. Everything is visible. Everything looks good, but none of it is nourishing. That contradiction is the emotional reality many people live with every single day. Seeing endless options only sharpens the hunger. It doesn't calm it. Knowing that satisfaction is close but unreachable creates a quiet form of torture that weighs on the soul. The craving doesn't fade. It grows stronger, heavier, and more confusing. This is the condition of modern intimacy. We are surrounded by connection, but rarely experience closeness. We crave deep mental, spiritual, and physical bonding. Yet most interactions never reach those depths. They stop at the surface and move on. We are taught to chase perfection instead of presence. If someone doesn't appear flawless, we are encouraged to swipe past them rather than sit with them. Real people are treated like replaceable options instead of complex beings worth exploring. As a result, satisfaction rarely reaches its fullest level. Not because we don't want connection, but because the systems around us reward distance, masks, and speed instead of patience, vulnerability, and truth. Technology has given us the ability to project perfection. Filters smooth flaws. Carefully chosen photos create fantasy. Words are edited to sound confident and complete. Attention comes easier when we wear a mask instead of showing a real face. But connection does not grow from a mask. It grows from friction, presence, and imperfection. Real intimacy comes from discovering both the beauty and the flaws in another human being and choosing to engage anyway. Decades ago, we had no choice but to face each other. Eye contact was unavoidable. Silence was felt. Energy was exchanged in real time. Today, screens buffer emotion. Video calls remove body language. Messages remove tone. Filters remove truth. Many people now have more intimacy with their phones than with another human being. We hold devices constantly, while real hands go untouched. The body learns isolation even while the mind scrolls endlessly. This leads to a cycle of instant gratification. There is pleasure without effort, stimulation without vulnerability, release without connection. Over time, this drains the desire to pursue real closeness because real intimacy requires risk. Risk is what technology helps us avoid. Apps promise connection but deliver repetition. Conversations begin strong but stay shallow. We say meaningful words to strangers we barely know, not because we understand them, but because we are desperate to express ourselves. That desperation is why artificial companionship feels very appealing. There is no rejection, no disappointment, no work. Everything can be shaped to preference. But what feels safe is also hollow. A relationship without resistance creates no growth. Satisfaction built on fantasy has no weight. When nothing is required, nothing is earned. And when nothing is earned, nothing lasts. Plastic intimacy is like fake plants in a home. They look nice. They require no care, no watering, no patience, just dusting. But they do not grow. They do not breathe. They do not give life. The same is happening emotionally. We are offered convenience over commitment, control over connection, consumption over contribution. Over time, this clogs our emotional filters and distorts our understanding of what we actually need. Eventually, we lose touch with ourselves. When real connection appears, we don't know how to receive it or what we even have to offer. We've practiced attachment for so long that vulnerability feels foreign. True intimacy requires two people willing to study each other, to learn rhythms, to communicate needs, to give fully without keeping score. It demands presence, patience, and mutual submission to growth. Modern relationships often fail because people enter them to extract, not invest. Giving becomes minimal while expectations remain high. That imbalance guarantees collapse. We cannot swipe our way into fulfillment. We cannot download depth. We cannot shortcut closeness. Human beings are not algorithms. Until we slow down and strip away the excess noise, connection will continue to weaken. When minds drift to digital fantasies instead of the person present, distance grows, even in shared spaces. This is where society now stands, closer than ever, yet deeply disconnected. The hunger we feel is real, but it's not weakness. It's a signal calling us back to ourselves and to each other. Technology is not the enemy, but it was never meant to replace human closeness. It should assist connection, not anesthetize it. We must relearn how to sit with imperfection, how to stay when it's easier to leave, how to invest where growth is possible. True intimacy requires courage. It asks us to be seen without filters and known without escape routes. If we choose real connection again, we won't just heal relationships, we will heal ourselves. Let me know if you understand where I'm coming from with the perspectives shared in this presentation. Because I just believe that many people who grew up in the modern, more recent times and never saw a world without the algorithms and the apps and the social media and the smartphones and the text messages and the FaceTime, that world was so wholesome. And yes, we had issues back then. Yes, we had war, we had poverty, we had people being unalived, we had young ladies being violated. We had all of those things. But it seemed as though it was far less. And while we went through many things, the one thing we had truly was a sense of having each other. Now the world is so cold. And to those growing up in this time period, it's business as usual. Because this is all they know. But take a guy like me. I know what the world was like before all of this technology came to be. And like I said earlier, it should assist in connection, not replace it. The times we would sit around the dinner table, whether it was family, friends of friends with the friends that you knew and the new friends that you met, we knew what home life was like. Now, home is just a place to lay your head. We have families that are disconnected from each other under the same roof, while we're in our individual rooms on our smartphones. And the real people in our lives we don't even know. I mean, it's bad enough that the world is moving faster and we have 24-hour schedules, especially in the bigger cities. And so our work takes us around the clock. So to see a family member, you oftentimes have to schedule a date with them. Or you might run into them 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get into that restroom to find out that they're using it. and you pass them by with sleepy eyes. And you greet them and it feels good. But when can I see you? Okay, maybe Saturday, when our work schedules permit. And this is Tuesday night. Ain't that something? You know that you live with them. You see their movements. You see they took a few extra bites of that cake. But there's no connection like it could be. So with our home lives reduced, we go out into the outside world. And we have our so-called work family. But they're not really friends. You're at the same place to earn money to pay your bills, but everybody is on their smartphones. And you hear the office gossip. You hear who doesn't like who, and you continue to talk on social media, text messages, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. That phone knows you better than anybody else in the world. If you want to know a person, and this is what I say, and not to be sneaky, but if you truly want to know a person, when they're on a computer, check out their history of where they go over time, what their interests are. Some people like the news, and they look at news channels. Some people have their favorite social media influencer, and they'll constantly go there. And what that influencer represents will tell you where their mind is. And then we have these dating sites. Now, if they're in a relationship with you, why are they going on a dating site? If they're committed to you and this is a heterosexual relationship, why are they looking at DL, down low, gay sites as a man? Might he be living a separate life? Well, I think so. Not to get off the topic, but if this is what you're doing, be real about it. Don't lie. If this is what you want to do, there are enough women out here who like you being that way. That's the new thing. I always knew it. I heard a lot of women talking about it. But the hunger that we have, yet we have, from what I can see, a great apprehension to actually open up, because it's easier to talk to a person intensely for a few days and then get rid of them because you found something else to titillate you. All the while, maybe not everybody, but so many of us are scared to be vulnerable. But the beauty of being vulnerable is that you discover that the person that you're with will catch you if you fall, will cover you from embarrassment, will love you as you are. Why are we afraid to be so vulnerable? And we think plastic intimacy is the way to go. Plastic, something that's not real. Like I mentioned earlier about the fake plants in your home. All they do is collect dust. They don't give life. You don't have to water them. But they're not giving you the carbon dioxide that you need. Oh, I'm sorry. They're not taking the carbon dioxide that you give, and they're not giving you the oxygen that you need. It's been a while since I've been in science class. That was a slip. But the bottom line is, between humans, real humans, not the kind that have no soul, right? We are life for each other. We help each other to regenerate. Let me tell you something. And I'm straight up real about this. And I always knew this, but I recently read it and it confirmed it. There was a doctor's report. Now I scanned through many videos researching things, so I couldn't tell you exactly which one it was. But trust me, and I'm quite sure you understand this, that between a man and a woman in a committed relationship, true intimacy is good for your health. True, complete intimacy. And yes, you will have disagreements. Nobody's perfect. But to go even further, to have a real sex life, but not just the nuts and bolts of things, but the full manifestation, not just the physical, but the emotional and the mental and the spiritual. We are life for each other. How is it that there's no other union on the entire planet that can create life? All these newfangled categories of this and that, and I'm they and them, and I'm gender fluid, and I don't know. I remember it had to be about 20, 21 years ago, 24 years ago, when I was working in corrections. And I was on a break, and I was on my phone. And it basically said, this had to be 2005, because Facebook just came out, that there were 72 different categories of sexual identities. You pick any two you want, but the only ones that are real, because there's only two. Now, unless you want to consider a hermaphrodite who was born that way, yes, I understand, but really and truly, there's only two. And those are the only two that can create life. Don't be mad at me. I'm stating a fact. Now, you know man is going to try to be able to make a man pregnant. We know they're going to manipulate, because man wants to be a God beside God. They'll never stop trying, but they'll never win. My thing is, you can use the technology, but we have gone overboard with this thing. And it's formulated to keep us stuck. These big companies, social media companies, smartphone companies, they don't care about you being happy and fulfilled. These things are engineered to suck you away from enjoying a full life. If you feel a void in your life, I mean, you can still have a family life and friends, but it's not the way it used to be. It's not the way it used to be. I remember walking down the street, going toward my friend's house, various friends, and the joy that I had in my heart walking toward their house. I turn the corner and I see them, a collection of friends, mutual friends, sitting on the front steps of my friend's house, and I couldn't wait. I'm seeing them. Say I'm 10, 15 car lengths away, and I see them, and I can't wait to get there. And they're looking at me with joy. And I'm smiling, shaking hands, hugging, enjoying in by taking my place on those front steps. In New York City, we call it the stoop. Man, I'm on the front stoop, man. I'm chilling out here. What are you doing? Come on over. And we can sit out there for hours talking, not gossiping, but just talking about things, ragging each other, making jokes on each other, bringing up certain things, debating about certain things, speculating on certain things. Wasn't a smartphone in sight. And it was so fulfilling. There might be a pretty girl walking down the street that we don't know. Now we're talking, as soon as she gets close, if we were shy when we were much younger, we all of a sudden get quiet. And she walks by, and one of us may say good afternoon, and the rest of us will say it. And then when she walks by, of course, we're going to turn around and see the rest of her beauty. Just being young boys. Now, the young ladies have their way of getting together with each other back in that day, and it was wholesome. I remember when I was young and had muscles, doing bodybuilding. I didn't prance around, but you can tell the way I was built. And if I walked down the street in a different neighborhood and there was a front stoop full of young girls my age, maybe not my age, it might be a little older, they would get quiet, giggle. Somebody will say something, and I might end up going back and talk with them, and they're in shock. Like, oh my God, can I see your muscle? It wasn't as common as it is today. But those were wholesome times. Block parties that we had. We had a whole city block where we lived. Would be blocked off legally, and the block association would have legal right to block it off, and somebody was designated to have the music, and every household had their refreshments put out in front. Nobody was selling anything. It was like having a cookout in your backyard, but it was on the whole street, and other people would come. And we didn't have gunfire, gunshots, shooting. We didn't have that during these block parties. And of course, I'm quite sure in the world somewhere it may have happened, but that wasn't protocol at a block party. And you hear the music of the day. It was beautiful. Ain't no doubt about it, I'm in love. Love, 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 love. Good times, these are the good times. Doom, 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 doom. I don't care, y'all think I'm crazy, but this is the joy that I carry in my heart. There was no smartphone or social media to rob it because we were our own built-in social media. We looked at each other in the eyes. We laughed with each other and laughed when they laughed. I was speaking to one of the cab drivers up in the village down the road from me. Like I said, this may be a 20-minute walk. At a, regular pace. You're going up another side of a mountain, steep incline. But I was actually coming in from Accra earlier today. And I had to pick up a few things in the village. And I sat down with the cab drivers, the local cab drivers. They all know where I live, because it's extremely inexpensive to pay them and come down. But the van comes down to where I live, so sometimes I stay on the van, or sometimes if I go up there and say, hey, there's something here that I can get locally much more inexpensive, and I'll support the businesses here. So when they see me coming, they already know I'm going to ride down with them. I can walk down, but I support them. And they're all glad to see me because they all know that I have something funny to say. I'm a comedian. So we're shaking hands and hugging, and they're all looking at me in anticipation. And 4 of the guys were to the side, and they were speaking in their native language, Tree. And so I shared a tale of what happened with me earlier that day when I was in the van going down. So they're all ears now. And so I said, you know what happened to me? All the guys were on the van speaking their native language, and they started cracking up laughing. So I started laughing too, hysterical, just as hysterical as they were laughing. And so one of the guys turned to me and said, hey, a brony, because that's what they call foreigners. Some say it in a divisive way, and some say it in an endearing way. And this way it was endearing because the guy that asked me, we know each other. We don't know each other's names, but we always, he drives a van. I'm always commuting. He said, "Hey, Abroni, you know what we were talking about?" And I said, "No, I didn't understand a word you were saying." And he said, "Well, you were laughing with us." I said, "I was laughing with you because whatever it was that you were saying had to be funny. And the way you were laughing made me laugh." And they started laughing at that. I said, "Listen, you could have been talking bad about me, saying this guy has a big head," which I do. Not braggadocious, but my head is physically big. I got extra terabytes to hold memory because of the massive storage. So they thought that was so funny. They thought it was so funny. But it's a sympathetic thing because of the connection. They speak English, but the thing is, they knew they were speaking their language, and it wasn't to rule me out because the conversation was already going. But if you don't think that this is authentic, and here's something that we have lost in social media, and I want to speak about this. We're disconnected together now. But say, for example, you're sitting in your living room or wherever it is you are. You might be in a bedroom, but let's just say the living room. And let's say you have a coffee table right there. And maybe it's dark in the living room, or a light is on in another room lighting it up, but there's no light right there. No light right there. So a child or a loved one, they come into the living room and they hit their knee or their shin on the coffee table. And you say to yourself, or you make the noise because you know it hurt them, but you're so connected to them, it hurts you too. So this is to show you that we are connected because that's a sympathetic response. You didn't hit your leg on the coffee table, they did, but because you love them so much, it affected you too. And I think to a greater degree, we've lost a lot of that. And while we may not have lost it with our immediate families or inner circles, the outer edge of that, where we see someone laying in the street or see an older woman fall or an accident happen, we pull out our smartphones before somebody calls for help. I think this disconnected thing has permeated too far. And we're reacting in certain ways, in certain scenarios, worse than ever before. Because I know there's always been violence, emotional reactions. I remember looking at the old Jet magazines before they became censored. And it may be where they took a photo of a man who had his head chopped off, and they showed the photo of the man with the head chopped off. And these are older Jet magazines from like in the 50s, I believe, that was still sitting around on the coffee table or just around, because back in the day before we had social media, we had magazines, and sometimes people would keep magazines on their coffee table for a guest that would come by and want to sit there and read it, for whatever reason, the doctor's office or, someplace like that. But they showed it. But now, you can see anything on the internet, and I believe it has desensitized us greatly. We're always seeing the fights. Now, I'm not going to say, you know what? I will say it. There are more fights today than ever before. I know we have more ways of capturing it, yes. So whatever's out there, we're going to see it. But I still think it's happening more because people are seeing this stuff and it's becoming, or making it's normalized now, and we're desensitized and we're more apt to follow what we see is out there as the norm. I truly believe this. The younger kids, they're so fast to whip their phones out and want to perform when there's a fight. You see what I mean? Because they know they're going to get captured on this, and they want to win the fight, not thinking that, well, I can get criminal charges pressed on me. But the need to be seen, the need to perform, the need to create these moments while we're lonely, while we lack intimacy, only the plastic intimacy, and this relation to the phone and each other, which has been desensitized. This is more than just this topic. It's the hunger nobody talks about. That's exactly what it is. In this world, just unless you make the connection, which you're not going to get along and enjoy everybody's company, and it's not that they're bad people, it's just that it's an energy thing. They're people that I've known for many decades, and when we speak to each other over the phone or text each other or bring up a good memory, I'm always transparent with you all. I'll tell you one that we spoke about today. And it was my friend Kevin, my brother Kevin. We've known each other from the 70s, the mid 70s. And he knows so much about me, as so many of my other close friends. And he said today he was cracking up all day over something I said. I think it had to be the early 80s or the late 70s, but he was driving and I was in the passenger seat. I don't know where we were. We might have been in Manhattan, New York, and we were at the red light. And there was a woman with not a long trench coat, but like a 3/4. And the way she was walking, she had to be in her late 20s, early 30s. And I'm a comedian. It was obvious that as she crossed the street in front of us, that she had a well-rounded, quite heavy derriere. And she wasn't of old age, but she was kind of bent over walking. And this is the thing I said out of my mouth that had him cracking up today. So many years, 40 something years, almost 50 years after I said it, I said, look at her. Look at that lady walking across the street like she's smuggling her butt through customs. That may not be funny to you, but we'll bring that up every now and then. And years after, we may have been in the supermarket and we're not poking fun at the person. We're not being venomous. We were just being young guys and just saying things. And I was always known for saying some funny stuff. Them too. Here's another one. There was a young lady that we knew that we found out that she was selling herself. Now, this wasn't some late night dark situation where we're trying to get with her. We knew this. It was common knowledge. But we were talking and around her in passing. We were all walking somewhere. And a car went by playing some loud music. And my brother here, he has a witty, cost-effective way of saying something funny at the perfect time. I should be telling you all this, but like I said, we got to have some fun here too. And she was going to where she was going. We never judged her on that. We knew. She knew we knew. And sometimes we would poke fun at her a little bit, not putting her down, but I didn't do it, but my friend did it. So the song was playing loud. It was a song by Rolls Royce from Car Wash, the movie back in the 70s. And I'm quite sure you know this song. I believe Mary J. Blige did a remake of it, but Rolls Royce did the original. I'm going down, I'm going down, since you ain't been around, something like that, right? And she broke out singing the song from the car that was driving by. So she broke out saying, I'm going down, I'm going down. And my friend said in 2 words, on who? That's the shortest joke in the world. Even she had to laugh. She said, I'll tell you later on after I do it. It was that kind of proximity to her, you know, because we wouldn't say nothing about that if we knew something, you know, we wouldn't be venomous and sarcastic. But that was classic. So what do you think I think about every time I hear that song? I'm going down. And he said it so, he didn't even say it loud. He said, on who? That messed that song up for me for the rest of my life. It didn't mess it up. You know, it's a beautiful song. I love that song. But sleep don't come easy. Oh man, I'm gonna play that after I get off talking about this thing. But yeah, the spontaneous fun that you can have. You can send each other funny things over the internet on your phone. You share a video. Yeah, that's cool. Now you can really have a good rapport with somebody online now. Here's another thing now. It doesn't mean that they all have to be shallow. My dear friend, who I call her custom model because she's like a life coach to me, and we talk every single day. One continuous conversation all day. Many hours between us because I'm here in Ghana and she's on the West Coast, so that's 8 hours right there. So when I'm waking up, she's getting ready to go to bed. So she'll send me her getting ready to go to bed text messages with videos and stuff, and we'll have a discussion. She might send a voicemail or even call. When I'm getting ready to go to bed, it's early for her. If I'm up till 3 or 4 in the morning because I just chose to stay up a little later, 4 o'clock in the morning for her now, for my 4 o'clock in the morning is 8 o'clock in the evening for her. But we still have a very much real and vibrant relationship and proximity. So it doesn't mean that every connection you have is watered down and false and fake and plastic. It's just that when it starts out that way, usually the way things go, it doesn't really take off. But we have things in common creatively in different fields, right? So it's that kind of thing. But for the people who are looking for connections and love, and it's tough to go that route because you don't know what you're getting. I know I told you about the 2 people that met each other on social media and they were on the same corner in the street waiting to meet each other and didn't recognize each other because they had heavily altered their appearance through filters. We're all gonna age. I look at videos, some that I've salvaged from years ago. I'm like, man, I'm looking much younger there. When I was on the Dr. Drew show on TV, that was in 2016. This is 2026 now. Like, man, my face got fatter. I gotta drop some weight. But I accept that because that's the era I come from, because it's more about who you are at the core than just a superficial mask that you put on. That mask will not work after a while. I don't care how much filters you put on, you get to a certain age. Yes, you can preserve yourself, you can keep yourself in shape, but there's no way you're gonna be 80 years old and look the same way you did when you were 20. That's an uphill battle. Be real. Put yourself out there authentically. Let people fall in love with you because you're you, your energy, And it's about the energy. We put so much energy in the plastic mask with our plastic intimacy. And the plastic intimacy goes further than just the smartphone. Look at the plastic intimacy that many of our sisters have with their battery-operated boyfriends, which is just as bad. I understand. You might not be with anybody, but don't get too much attached to that piece of plastic either. And this is one of the reasons why, not the reason why, but that thing doesn't stop. As long as you have batteries, it's going to keep on going. What man can keep up with that? But is that battery-operated boyfriend going to hold you at night when you got the bad news that you lost a loved one? You see what I mean? It can't do nothing for you except tickle you, partially releasing you. But everything remains the same after you come down from that blissful physical release in high. It's the same comparison, like I always say. Now, why go on a vacation to escape a reality that you're not happy with? Because when the vacation is over, you're going to have to come back home to that same reality. Man, I got so many bills, man. I ain't getting along with my lady, man. Man, I'm going to get up on out of here and go on a 2-week vacation. And you got them same bills and the same issues with your significant other that are unresolved. Why can't we construct our lives in a manner where, we got to work. You may not like your job, but why can't you have a little bit of vacation every day in your personal life that you can look forward to so it doesn't build up? So all year you're talking about 2 weeks. And when those 2 weeks come, when you're at the job, there's 5 more days of vacation, 4 more days of 3, 2, 1, you're counting down. Oh, I'm going on vacation now. And guess what? The first day that you get there, you start thinking about going back home. Oh, I got 13 more days on vacation before I got to go on back to that damn job. You're at the job, fiending for the vacation. And when the vacation comes, you're dreading going back to the job. You're not where you are at the moments that, if we stay in the present and live in the present and have a little bit of happiness every single day, we wouldn't even pay the vacation any mind, because we'd have that joy with us every single day. This is why I can sit here and talk into the mic about my life or different topics, because I'm quite clear in my thinking. I'm here right now talking to you. I'm not damaged and stimulated by a phone that can manipulate my feelings and make my reality not be joyous as it's supposed to be. And every moment is not going to be bliss, granted. Who's blissful when they have diarrhea? Sorry to get lewd. But things happen physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We've got to navigate that. But if we can be in the moment and not have our mind taken back or taken away too much, here's another way I see it. The memories that my friends and I have down through the decades, it's a beautiful thing and I love it so much. And I'm at the ages now where family members who are older, I used to hear the way they talked. And they had wonderful friendships and connections that they were so life-sustaining. But with these youngsters today, who at my age, I didn't have the smartphone or the computer. It's a tool, that's wonderful. You can learn a lot from it. It's a good advantage if you use it properly. But what are these children and youngsters and young teenagers and folks in their 20s going to have as a memory when all they did was scroll? All they did was look at videos from the past, the present, foolishness, Are they going to get to their 40s and 50s and 62 like I am right now and say to their friends who are still around, hey, remember when we were teenagers? Oh man, we scrolled all day long, man, giving each other high fives. Man, that was some good scrolling. That's not a memory. Because you're not going to remember what you were scrolling about on that phone. It has shrink wrapped all joy, this thing. You know when something shrink wrapped, the plastic is put around an object and the air is sucked out of it. There's no air in it. There's no variation of good times in our lives now with this thing. We go to a concert and we got the phone up. Yeah, you want to capture a moment if your favorite celebrity or star is on the stage, but all you doing is, and then when you leave the concert, all you're gonna do is show it, but you didn't experience the song. Before I let go, doom, 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 doom. Ah, nobody can sing that part right. Listen, don't run off the show because I can't sing. My voice is a little hoarse anyway. But the DJ on that part in the club or at the house party would turn the volume down. All you heard was these off-tone voices. And they didn't care because we were feeling it. And it brought us to a sense of unity, and it wasn't plastic intimacy. It was real love that we felt being part of a group that had something in common. And this is why culture is so important. And I know I'm kind of getting off topic, but this is the way I feel right now. A bond of culture. You don't even have to know the person at that same party. They know the person that invited you and you're just meeting them now. But you're hearing music that you both enjoy and that brings you together. It brings you together. And we don't have that eye-to-eye connection anymore. We like songs through a phone or a computer. But we're not liking it because we're hearing it on the radio and actually creating memories with it. So years go by, and remember that song? And it reminds you of people. This digital music, broadcast at a different frequency, we can't hold on to it anymore. It's catchy in its tunes, but it doesn't do nothing for us. I'm part of both realizations, the old school and the present. With the amount of time that I've spent online creating content over the last 24 years and 11 months. They're coming up on a 25-year anniversary of me being a content creator online, although YouTube snatched most of it off. Those who remember, remember. That's all that counts. You have it in your memory banks. How I made you feel by the creations that I made. That's all. I don't have to have my name up in lights. This is how we vibe. And this is how we vibe as a culture. And I'm going to use another one that I said this the other day. You have a favorite comedian. Like for me, one of my favorites was Paul Mooney. I would see him come out on stage. I'm watching this on TV and I start cracking up before he even says anything. And he had a certain walk that he had, and I imitated well. When I'm on video, I'll do it one day. And he was like, you know, and he spoke a lot of the racial jokes, and he wasn't afraid to say it. How are you white people feeling tonight? I hope you're buckled in, have your seatbelt, and do not leave, because I'm going to give you a hard time tonight. That was Paul Mooney. Before he said anything, I'm laughing because I knew his brand. You had a connection with your entertainers. These days, there's no connection. Imagine, what's his name, Burna Boy, refused to continue performing because there was somebody who was sitting in the front row who fell asleep. And she fell asleep because she was so worn down from losing a family member and the trauma that she decided that she was going to treat herself to come into the Burna Boy concert. See, he didn't know that. And she's so exhausted, he took long to come out and she dozed off. If he knew, he would have had more, well, maybe he wouldn't have, because I hear he doesn't have compassion. It's all about him, right? And he had security get them out of there. She paid for the ticket. If she wanted to sit there and eat Chinese noodles during the performance, so be it. You paid for this. Your ego was that big? You think Michael Jackson would have done that? No. He loved his fans. He put us all into it. And it wasn't about, oh, I'm so famous and you're insulting me and how dare you do this to me. Michael Jackson had compassion. Yes, he would be considered eccentric. But look at his life. One thing's for sure. He didn't have plastic intimacy with his fans. He might have had to keep himself distant because he was so famous and you never know what people can do. But he poured his heart out in his creations. And he's been gone for a while now. But his creations still speak to us. They're little kids that are dancing to his music that weren't alive when he was alive. I'm going to tell you, 250 years from now, there'll be new Michael Jackson fans if the world doesn't blow itself up. Through his creations. And this is why I know that it's important that whatever it is you do, you pour your heart out. But you can't do it on a digital level. Or you can share the visuals and the sounds, but to make a person feel that you touch them in their heart, but you never physically stood in front of them. That's the challenge. And that's what we're lacking. And the people that are actually next to us, the social media and smartphone culture that we have now is erasing this thing and shrink wrapping our emotions and connections toward each other. That's what I'm seeing. It's not a complete eclipse yet, but it's almost a total eclipse. It's easy to unalive each other. It's easy to talk about each other. It's easy to gossip about each other and put each other down. And we have all of these mental issues going on right now and psychological issues. And I believe it's because the human connection has been reduced greatly in our society. And I don't like it. This is what I'm seeing, and I have to be honest. Maybe it's not the whole total thing, but if we had more of each other, things would be better off. If we had somebody to check on us and hug us and just tell us, listen, I missed you. I wanted to come by and see how you're doing. And see, just right now, boom, because you know my mind is all over the place. That song Hard Times by Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band, Hard Times. Back in '76 when the album came out, I was 13 years old. I bought two of them, put one in plastic, and just played the other one down to nothing, all these scratches on it. But that song Hard Times, there's one line in it that says, Lord knows we've got each other, so kiss me hard and long. Ooh, hard times we can get over. And it's just such a peaceful song. And it's a woman singing to her man about the hard times they're going through. I'm going to put this in the comment section after this is up. Such a peaceful, soothing song, and the connection between them, even though it's only her singing, You can tell this is in the middle of the night. Maybe they're lying down next to each other, about to fall asleep, and she's singing in his ear. That's the way I picture this song. It is such a relaxing, reassuring song, and this is how we have to be there for each other. A woman, the power of a woman who loves her man, and the man goes out every single day, the good man now. Because, you got women out here, oh, these men ain't no good. Well, listen, take that somewhere else. That's your experience. But for the good men out here that has a good woman who loves him and she knows how to nurture him. He may not be crying, but she knows that he's in pain. And she's singing to him softly. And maybe in real life, maybe she can't really sing and hold a note, but her singing to him, feeling her warm next to her. And it's not a sexual thing, it's a love thing. It's a connection thing. It's a human thing. You can't get that through a damn app. Who needs a filter? I don't want a filter. I want a real person. It's the same way when you call a company and you get a recording or you get some artificial robot-like voice. It's like, how can I get to a real person? That's another reflection on the modern society. And you go on a website and you think you're typing to somebody real and it's something pre-programmed, programmed to answer the majority of the questions that you have. And the best way to get around that is ask a question that they can't answer, or they have no choice but to say, let me refer you to somebody who can help you. And you're still going to get somebody in India. And then they want to answer the question, wait a second, who am I speaking to? Where are you called? Where have I connected to? Oh, you in India? I'm not making I want to speak to somebody from America. I can't understand what you're saying. And they get mad at you because you don't understand. And they're not trying to make it where you understand what they're saying. They're keeping that thick behind the accent. And you're sitting here like, look at this. This is about a phone bill that they say that I owe money on, but yet I get a free call to India and can't understand what they're saying. God dog. Anyway, I know I'm bugging a little bit, but that's, I'm sorry, I sound like an old guy who is thinking in the past. I'm not that. I'm very much modern. I'm very much hip. I think I'm one of the hippest 62-year-olds around. I'm aware of many things and I've adapted with the times. I'm not stuck in my ways. I keep refreshing myself and keep myself updated. I keep getting upgrades. It's like when you have an upgrade for your phone and you upgrade it. And some people, you get older folks sometimes, it's like, man, you got 10 upgrades on your phone. That's why your phone's not working right. When I get my personal, mental, physical, spiritual, psychological, emotional upgrades, I take them. This is what keeps me here in the present in the year 2026. Now, it's going to sound funny if you play this video back in 2029, but that's what it is. January 6th, Tuesday, 2026. And what a blessing it is to be able to speak to you on these topics as they come. And I'm going to bring back some of the other formats while still doing it this way. I'm still going to make the different thumbnails and talk about some current events and stuff like that. We're going there. And we're going to do it with a comedic twist and an energy that, is uniquely mine. And again, you need an interview, call me up. The number's right there on the banner or down below. Let's talk. Let's create some thought-provoking content as we move through our lives, because life can be long when you do it right, but it can be so enjoyable that there's a party that can seem to end too soon. And you say, man, I had a good time. I wish that party ended later or continued on. Let's not be able to say that to ourselves, and let's live in the present and enjoy the present. And yes, there will be stressful times, but the bottom line is let's carve out some enjoyment. I remember watching a movie, and it was a wartime movie. It was some kind of movie some old movie from the 50s, 60s or something, but it was about World War II. And these guys, mixed races, were in the trenches, in this hole. Bombs were flying over their head, bullets. They couldn't touch them. But for that moment, they shared a joke and were laughing and they were eating. They were dirty. They were down in that little hole. But they managed to carve out a bit of joy, no matter what it is, you know? So, you know, there's a lot of things that I've been through and observed. There was a neighbor that he was on his way in transition, natural causes. And I remember it was funny because there was another friend, older brother of a friend of mine, which the older brother was a friend of mine too. He was in the hospital too. So we went to see him. But at the same time, we knew that this other neighbor who lived down the block was there. And we went by his room with the permission of his family. Because there were family members there that we didn't even know. You know, they came from different parts of the country. So we just couldn't rush in there and say, hey, I'm a neighbor. You know, we explained who we were and we just wanted to, you know, acknowledge him. He was still alive. He moved his lips slightly, but his face, his eyes, you saw the joy. And so we didn't stay long because, you know, that's family. We didn't want to be intrusive on that. So we heard them as we walked down the hall toward the elevator away from their room. We heard everybody laughing, right? And we went downstairs. There was a restaurant close by. We went to get something to eat. And about an hour later, because we stayed for a while, some of them came into the restaurant. And they expected that he was going to transition, but still it hurt. So I noticed some that had tears in their eyes, but I remember them laughing. And one of the guys who, there's always that family member who will kind of make a joke when everybody else is crying. And I looked toward them and I said, is everything all right? Because they looked at me and I said, oh, he passed away. He just passed away. He passed away just right when we left the room because they had said this joke, and the older guy who looked like he was he had a couple of drinks or something in his car or something and came with there kind of tipsy. He was saying, yeah, he had his last laugh and y'all took him out of here. And that was funny, but I couldn't laugh at the time because the other ones were like, I was like, man, they cracked the joke and the joke was so funny. He laughed and took his last breath. But then again, what a way to go. You got your family around you. They care for you. You know they love you. You laughed and you left. It's strange, but I had to share that. And as I was walking down the hall, that's when it happened. But I didn't know that until they came down into the restaurant. So these things that happen in my life, it lets me know of the importance of that connection, that human connection, that we're not, like the title says, disconnected together. How plastic intimacy is starving our soul. Remove the plastic, remove the emotional condom, remove the spiritual condom, the barrier, which has become social media and the smartphones. See, in high dosages, it ruins you. You have to deal with this thing on a limited basis. Vitamins, if you're deficient, are good for you. You take too many, they become toxic. Get your stuff from real food. You never overdose on real food. You might eat too many calories, but you're not going to overdose in what's in natural food. That's all I'm saying. Well, I'm just so glad again to speak with you and tell a few stories and distract you from maybe work, or you're on the treadmill and your legs are paining a little bit. We're always going to take a trip. We're always going to talk about some real life things. And this is my way of giving back my human contact, my human energy in a plastic world with so many emotional condoms being worn and spiritual condoms being worn that it doesn't allow the sensation through. It doesn't allow the emotion to permeate. When you hold somebody's hand, do you know how powerful that is? Somebody's on their deathbed on their way out of here, and you hold their hand and you kiss them and you're standing by them and looking at them, and they have you the reassurance of your love, just you standing there by yourself. There's not an app or a video or any song that can replace the human touch. Think back on your life. I'm not saying you don't have it. The only reason why I'm saying to think back on your life recently and try to improve that. Try to give that more, because you never know if that's the last time you're giving it to that particular person. Tell that joke again. Make them laugh. I'm a comedian with my friends. I like to make them laugh, to the point where they're out there in the world thinking about stuff that happened 40 years ago. I'm going down. I'm sorry. I can never think about that song the same way. And hopefully there's something I said that sticks with you and brings a smile to your face, because one day it may be you or it may be me. We're both going to transition. But if I transition before you who are listening to this, maybe you could take one of my memories and have a laugh after I'm gone. But I do believe it's a perfect order, and we have nothing to worry about as long as we do right by each other and ourselves. So I'm not moving scared or fearful in that direction. I'm just doing what it is that I have to do here, and I want to keep it pleasant, and I want it to be, when you think of me, that it brings a smile to your face. That's all I want. If I want anything from you, that's all I want. To uplift you and motivate you and let you know that life is worth living, because it is. And I enjoy my life every day. I made those cab drivers laugh up there today. That made me feel so good. Anyway, much love to you all. Share, like, and all that stuff. I never say that stuff. You're going to do it anyway if you want to do it. And I love being part of this journey. Thank you very much. LANCESCURV out. On to the next one. Again, I'm going to say it. Make sure to go to LANCESCURVX.com. LANCESCURVX.com. And sign up with your email address so you get all of these episodes that we put out. Because YouTube loves to shadow ban stuff and turn the algorithms against you, and you don't see the stuff and notifications don't go out. So we'll beat all of that. If you join LANCESCURV.com, there's no price for that. On LANCESCURVX.com, I'm sorry. Because LANCESCURV.com is going to be pointed to LANCESCURVX. It's not there yet because I'm removing stuff from there to put back on this platform. But LANCESCURVX, that's why when I put the site up, I put it with a white X, so you see the X, so you know it's something different than the website that I've always had. But anyway, thank you. Thank you very much. Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think, how you feel. And I do enjoy that. And it's something that brings me joy when I see that you respond. Okay? On to the next one. Talk to you later. LANCESCURV out. Peace.